I was sheriff of this county when I was 25 years old. Some of the old-time sheriffs never even wore a gun.
What about yours?
Can't help but wonder how they'd have operated these times. The crime you see now, it's hard to even take its measure. It's not that I'm afraid of it, but I don't want to push my chips for it and go out and meet something I don't understand.
Be careful.
Always am.
Don't get hurt.
Never do.
Don't hurt no one.
If you say so.
The movie is about a middle American small-town sheriff. It's about this character's perspective on time going by and aging and things changing, and that's no surprise given the title of the book.
The character of Bell is towards the end of his career, and the story involves him being confronted with a crime and a type of criminal with which he's never had to deal before.
The book is set in 1980. It's not strictly speaking present day. It takes place just when the cross-border drug trade, Texas, Mexico is getting very brutal, and that's sort of an opportunity for reflection for the sheriff.
It's all the goddamn money, Tom. Money and the drugs. It's just goddamn beyond everything. What's it mean?
Sheriff Bell is sheriff of Terrell County in West Texas. It's very sparsely populated, not a wealthy place, a place where older traditions are more vital than they might be in Dallas County, for example. He has an older spirit. Hasn't seen a lot of change. The drug trade across the river and the violence that comes with it has introduced a new kind of criminal that's hard for him to understand.
You think this boy Moss has got any notion of the sorts of sons of bitches that are hunting him?
I don't know, he ought to. He's seen the same things I've seen, and it certainly made an impression on me.
Tommy talks about what's going on and tries to figure out what's going on, but what's going on is kind of overwhelming.
None of that explains your man, though. He's just a goddamn homicidal lunatic, Tom.
I'm not sure he's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, what would you call him?
Yeah, sometimes I think he's pretty much a ghost. What kind of criminal is Anton Sugar? He's a complete mystery. He uses an unusual weapon and seems to be an indiscriminate killer. It's about all that the Sheriff Bell learns from his tentative investigation. He doesn't learn a lot. He doesn't understand it.
One of the issues that the novel and the movie is the way to understand this huge wave of violence. Sugar symbolized that violence, and what he does through the movie is to really go farther, one step farther with it.
The character of Sugar, he's a little bit of a cipher. You're not really entirely sure what his motivations are, and he has a kind of a peculiar moral code of his own.
You got no cause to hurt me.
No, but I gave my word.
It's not like he's just going around killing people. He does everything he does without a sense of ego. I know you was crazy when I saw you sitting there.
What is that for?
Would you hold still, please, sir?
What Anton Sugar does is a new kind of violence. He shows that violence doesn't have any explanation most of the time, or any roots. It just happened, and it's unstoppable.
What you got ain't nothing new. This country's hard on people.
The countryside is such an important character. I mean, it's no country for old men, and that needs to play a big part in the story.
It's the incredible texture of the West, the evolution of what the West is supposed to mean, and all of the stuff that Bell goes through in trying to figure out this place in this vast country.
From the point of view of the novel, it was probably chosen because it represented the region where cross-border drug trade was becoming much more violent, and that represents some change in the perspective of the main character in terms of him looking at the history of the region.
It's a harsh environment, not a picturesque landscape. It's kind of not an easy place to live in.
And with a history of violence,
It's a story about a certain part of the country at a certain point in time, with these characters pursuing each other.
And there's something about the principle of these people, of what do I appreciate, what do I like, what do I live for, what am I going for, what do I stand for.
How do you know he's not on his way to Odessa?
Why would he go to Odessa?
Kill your wife?
Maybe he's the one who needs to be worried.
You're not cut out for this.
As well as these three people, there's the generational shift in that part of the country.
You know, if you'd have told me 20 years ago, I'd see children walking the streets of our Texas towns with green hair, bones in their noses, I just flat out wouldn't have believed you.
Signs and wonders. Sheriff Bell more or less lives up to the title. He feels personally overcome by this new and monstrous criminality.
Loretta tells me you're quitting. How come you're doing that?
I feel overmatched. And I think he learns an important lesson in the disillusionment that he feels and the disappointment in his inability to deal with this new kind of criminality.
Ain't all waiting on you. That's vanity.
The universe does not actually revolve around any one individual, however tempted we might be to think that individual is me. You can't help but compare yourself against the old timers. You'd have to say, okay, I'll be part of this world.